Greetings to you all. Today our discussion would be on a referral letter. Now, how to write a referral letter. Now, most of the people are sitting at home. They are trying to fight with this crisis which is happening around the world. So you can also make use of this opportunity that you're at home. You can start learning things. You can start applying on it, and you can start more letters. So today we'll discuss a referral letter. When you get a question paper, how to read that question paper. My suggestion for reading the question paper would be read the first 5 lines of the paper. First 5 lines. Most of the cases it will be very helpful for you. Read the first step should be read the first 5 lines, then read the last event or the date which is given to you, date or the event whichever is given to you. Read that along with the writing task. Okay, because by reading this way, you will get a clear picture who is your target reader, what is the purpose of writing. You will also understand what is the current situation of the patient. By reading the first 5 lines, most of the time you will get to know what is the patient's name, what is the patient's age, and also in some cases you will also understand what is your position. Are you a charge nurse? Are you a community nurse? Where are you writing from? These kind of information you can grab from the first 5 lines, but you get to know what is the patient's name and age and what is your position in this letter. This makes it very clear. Now, if you read the last event and the question together, you will get to know who is, because from the writing task, from the question, you will get to know who is your target reader, her name, her or his or her name. Then you will get to know what's her position, and you will also get to know what is the current situation, also the prime diagnosis, what patient is suffering from. And once you know this very clear, once you know from the recent event, what is the target reader, who is the target reader, what's her name, the prime diagnosis, you understand the target reader's point of view, you understand the current situation of the patient. Then it becomes very easy for you to choose information, because we need to have relevant information. We need to have relevant information as per the current diagnosis which is given to you. So if you want to have relevant information, you need to understand the target reader's point of view. This has to be very clear in your mind. Now, what I would be doing is I would be sharing live case notes in front of you. We can just go through it. We can understand how to segregate information and how to plan to write a letter. This is what we'll be doing today. So I'll just share a question paper along with this video. You can see this. I believe everyone can see this question paper. Now, in this question paper, as per the steps of what I advised you, if you read the first 5 lines, now see, if we take it from here, 5 lines. If we take first 5 lines, we get to know the important information is what is the present date. In this letter, they have mentioned today's date is 10th of February 2010. Then you get to know, okay, the patient's name is Allison Martin. Then you get to know the gender of the patient is female, 28-year-old teacher. We also got to know what's her profession. Presently in your clinic for past 10 years. Now, if you see this information and you're not writing it to a GP or not writing it to a family doctor or a known GP, then this information would always be important in any referral letter, since how many years you know the patient. She has got 2 children, 4 years old and 10 months old. Both pregnancies and deliveries were normal. Husband, 30-year-old, manager of a travel agency, living with husband's parents. So she currently lives with her husband's parents. So you got to know your patient's name is Allison Martin. You got to know 28-year-old teacher she is, and she is in your clinic for past 10 years. She lives with her husband's family and she has got 2 children. This information you got to know. Before you go ahead and read the entire case note, let's go to the last event and see. Last event over here is 10/2/2010. Okay, so we got to know, and from the first page we got to know today's date is 10/2/2010, and the last event we can see, the last event is also 10/2/2010, which means the present day. So what happened today? She was accompanied by husband. Now you can read it over here. She was accompanied by husband and said that she tries to avoid eye contact with other people. She has a reported reduced speech output, impaired planning, and also some visual hallucination and delusions for the past 5 days. So you get very clear, okay, this is a psychiatric case wherein the patient has got hallucination, delusion, speech output, and impaired planning. You get a clear idea what the situation is. Then you read objective mood is depressed, little eye contact, speech disorganized, behavior bizarre, BP is normal, pulse is normal, AB, CNS, CVS, everything is normal. Then they have given the probable diagnosis. This becomes your prime diagnosis. schizophrenia and associated disorders. Now, please understand this. It's very clear over here. They have written probable diagnosis. It is not a confirmed diagnosis. So when you're writing your first paragraph, you cannot say who was diagnosed with or who is diagnosed with schizophrenia and associated disorders. Rather, you would say signs and symptoms suggestive of schizophrenia and associated disorders. So these kind of informations you need to be very careful. Is it a confirmed diagnosis or is it a probable diagnosis? This has to be very clear in your mind. You also get to know what is the purpose of writing this letter, which is in the management plan. It is given refer to psychiatrist for assessment and further management. You are the GP, Dr. Ivan Henzak, write a referral letter to psychiatrist, Dr. Pita Casimatis, 1414 Logan Road, Mount Gravatt, 4222. So you're very clear that what is your position, to whom you're writing, what is the doctor's name, you're clear with the purpose of the letter, you're clear with the diagnosis, also you're clear with the current situation. So which helps you to formulate your first paragraph. Things becomes very clear. It becomes very easy. Now, when you understand the target reader clearly, when you know the situation clearly, it is very easy for you to understand the things and you will be able to write a better letter. Now, let's go through all the letter with the entire case note and try to understand how will you formulate the first paragraph, second, third, and fourth. First, we are very clear. Let's see how can you formulate second, third, and fourth. Now, one more thing which you always have to keep it, you need to understand whether this is an emergency situation or whether this is a normal situation or normal referral. In this scenario, patient is suffering from these conditions from a longer time and you're just referring for the further assessment and management. So this is not a life-threatening situation. Okay, so hence the structure, what we would use to write is the same. The first paragraph will be about the overview. Second will be about the initial event, like where it started. Third would be what has happened recently, and fourth is about the future request and recommendation, which means what you want. That is also called as the purpose elaboration paragraph, where you describe what exactly you want from the target reader. Okay, now let's get on to the first page and let's try to understand what all informations would be required over here. Now we know what is the today's date, that is 10/2/2010. We are very clear with it. Now initially when patient presented, so we will write about the social background, which is in the second paragraph, which is about the patient's history. So now we know this patient since last 28 years. She is a teacher by profession, has got 2 children, 4 years old and 10 months old. This we will take. Both pregnancies and deliveries were normal, not required because we are writing it to a psychiatrist. It doesn't have any reference. Husband 30 years old, not that required. Husband, she lives with her husband's parents. That is an important information. Other information, even if you don't write, it's completely fine. Patient has got a family history of schizophrenia, symptoms controlled by Referral. Yes, it is an important information because you're writing it to a psychiatrist. Now, since over here, the same way you can see there are things which are normal, smoking nil, alcohol nil, and use of recreational drugs is also nil. Hence, we don't need this information. So what you can do is, second paragraph where you want to keep the social paragraph different, you can do is you can take this 5 information together and formulate your second paragraph. Then let's go to the events, like where exactly started. The first event which you can see is that is 9/1/2010 over here. The subjective data you can see patient came with, so you can write initially on the first visit of 9/1/2010, patient had complained of poor health, tiredness, low grade temperature, unmotivated at work, not enjoying your work, and unmotivated, both are same. So you can take any one information. Then you have no stress, loss of appetite, and weight. So it doesn't say that patient had stress, patient had loss of appetite. So these informations, we don't need it. Okay, this is also we do. So we need, for the second paragraph, we'll take this 4 information. Now let's see from objective, do we need anything? Appearance is nearly normal, so things are not much important. Mood, not depressed. It's a neutral information. If you want, you can take it. Even if you don't take it, it's completely fine. It is not that vital, because we have seen in the recent event patient was completely depressed. Anyways, we are going to mention that. So even if you take it or if you don't take it, it does not matter. Blood pressure is normal, pulse is normal, vitals are normal. So here also we have approximate 4 information to mention. Then in the management, we can see advice to relax. So this was an advice which you have given to the patient. So that would be an important information. So we will take this information. So just ignore this cross mark. We'll take advice to relax, start regular exercise, and maintain a temperature chart. Okay, so we have approximate 7 informations to write for this paragraph of 9/1/2010. So which we will keep it as third paragraph. because we cannot merge that with the social information, because the informations are more. We need to make sure within 180 to 90 words, 190 words, we finish your letter. Don't go beyond 200. There is no markdown for that, but still, it's better to be in the range which is suggested to you. Okay, so these are the information which we would require, and we'll keep this 9/1/2010 together with this a different paragraph. We'll keep a different paragraph. Now let's see with the other date. Will we take a different paragraph or can we merge it together? That is something we need to see now. Let me go to the second page of this letter. Perfect. Now over here, we can see we can take a separate paragraph for this, that is on the recent visit, what has happened. Now, over here we can see previous symptoms, there is no change, had poor concentration and attention to job activities. We need to make sure when we write paragraph, there are no information which is repeated. So if you're taking information from the case note, it should not be repeated. He has got poor concentration, attention to job activities. If you want, you can take it. Finding living with husband's parents difficult. Psychiatrist needs to know what is the background. Now, many people would debate saying that, says her mother-in-law thinks she's lazy and turning her husbands against her. Patient, the doctor needs to know about her delusional thoughts. No need. We are sending for the further assessment and management. He would be assessing that and he would be giving the management. So even if in the last paragraph you write she has got visual hallucination and delusions, which is given over here, that's completely fine. Okay, so we don't need this information. Says her mother-in-law thinks she's lazy and turning her husband against her. Too tired to do much with her children, mother-in-law takes over. Doesn't require. The new complaint what we see over here is feels anxiety, poor sleep and frequent headaches. Patient is mildly depressed. Over here if you want you can take it. Then little eye contact, yes, important information. Speech normal and physical examination normal. Things which are normal is not that important. So even if you remove that, it's completely fine. No problem with that. Now, then you have tentative diagnosis, which means you made a diagnosis recently, a tentative diagnosis which says patient was suffering from early depression or schizophrenia, early depression or schizophrenia. Management plan, relaxation therapy, counseling, which you have suggested. So things which you have suggested is always important. This information is important. Need to talk to the husband on the next visit. Not that important. The reason is I'll tell you, because in the next paragraph, anyways, you're going to say patient accompanied by husband. So why you need to write that you have suggested her to visit with her husband? It's not required. You need to be logical when you're writing. Because understand, you're handing over to someone and you're saying that I advised her 2 days ago to come with her husband. Today she came with her husband. Doesn't make any sense. Anyways, you're saying that she visited along with her husband. So this information is not required. Prescribed diazepam, Noctane and paracetamol, obviously required because that was your suggestion. Review was done in 2/52. 2/52 means 2 weeks. That's not required. Anyways, we're going to write about what has happened after 2 weeks. So hence this information, which I'm marking it wrong, is not required. Keep this in mind. This will make very clear for you to write. So this is your third paragraph, which is about the recent event. Then we come what has happened today. That is about, which will also involve what you want from the target reader, what this target should do for you or for the patient. Okay. Now today she accompanied by her husband and he said, you need to write this. He reported that she tries to avoid eye contact with other people, reduce speech output, impaired planning, some visual hallucination and delusions for 5 days. All this 5 information important. Mood is completely depressed. Little eye contact. Either you can write in this paragraph again, even if you don't want to repeat it, it's completely fine. Even if you don't repeat it. Speech is disorganized. Behavior is bizarre. BP and pulse and CNS CVS is normal. Hence, we don't need this. This probable diagnosis, we already wrote this in the first paragraph, so don't repeat it. So in view of the above, she would require the further assessment and management from your facility. Then you can close it. If you need any further clarification, please do not hesitate to contact me. This will make things very clear for you. Okay. If you understand the case notes well, you will be able to write it well. Please understand, many people encourage us to do paraphrasing for the letter. Never do that. You need to narrate a story about the patient which speaks about his history, which speaks about the current situation. Also, it speaks about what you want from the target reader. So understand the case notes. Spend your initial 5 minutes well, plan well, think well. How will I narrate the story of this patient? Understand the patient's conditions well, then use your language skills to write your letter. Okay, so I believe you all will be able to write this letter. I'll provide a link in this on maybe like wherever I'm uploading this, maybe on YouTube or maybe on Facebook, I will be providing the link for this case notes. You can try it at your end and you can see how well you can write it. I believe this discussion will definitely help you to achieve the score what you need, and also it will help you to simplify the case notes. May have complex the letter is, not to worry. Split it, split the thing, see event by event, what are the events, what are the problems with the patient, and who is your target reader, what I need from my target reader. These all things, if you're very clear, plan it in this way, it will be much more easier for you. Read the first 5 lines, read the last event and the writing task. I can assure you things will be pretty easy for you. Okay, so this was my effort to keep it more simplified for you so that I can help students, those who are struggling with writing. Okay, if you have any more questions, you can contact me. I'll be providing my contact numbers in the link. Plus, you can also message me directly if you have any troubles with OET writing. I will definitely help you with your queries, and I can help you to an extent where you can easily clear your exam. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a great day.